Welcome to the Class 6A Playoff Prediction Show here on Kpreps.com. I'm Mike Snow, and with me as always is Matt Gilmore from Kpreps.com. How you doing, Matt?
Doing well.
And John Baetz from the Kansas Pregame magazine. How you doing, John?
Very good.
And we pull off all the stops here at Kpreps.com. We even go up to Kansas City from PrepsKC.com. Dion Clisso joining us. How you doing today, Dion?
Doing well.
We're going to go through and pick every single game in the Class 6A football playoffs. Let's start first with Matt Gilmore from Kpreps.com. Free State takes on Shawnee Mission Northwest. Matt, who do you like?
Well, I like Lawrence Free State, a team that ranks second in our Class 6A poll, and they already beat Shawnee Mission Northwest 20-3 back in Week 2, a game that they actually struggled a little bit in, but won that game 20-3. And Joe Deneen back last week after he left Week 8 with an injury against Lawrence High. He threw for 156 yards and a couple of scores. I like Free State to move on in this one.
Dion, Blue Valley Northwest host Olathe North in the first round. Who do you like in this one?
Well, I tell you, this game is as good as it gets. These are two teams that I could see maybe even playing for a state championship. I like Blue Valley Northwest because of the physical way they play. Jake Rominger, their quarterback's fantastic. Miles Alexander, their tailback. But Olathe North is very good with Venus Triplett and Troy Murphy. I'm going to go with Northwest, but, man, it's a good one.
Gardner Edgerton host Olathe East. Dion?
This is another good one as well. I think Gardner Edgerton is the prohibitive favorite. I'm going to go with them here, but Olathe East has always played well. They always win playoff games. You don't ever count out a Jeff Myers team. I think if Gardner Edgerton is going to trip up in the first round, this is a team like Lawrence that got him last year. It could happen, but I'm still going to stick with the Trailblazers.
Matt, our last first-round game on the east side, the 2-seed Shawnee Mission East hosts Leavenworth. Who do you like?
Well, Shawnee Mission East, this is a rematch from Week 1 where they shut out Leavenworth 34-0. I think Dustin Delaney's group is really primed for a nice playoff run here. Leavenworth limps into the playoff, losing to Kansas City Wyandotte last week, and they get in on the district points by just 1 point over Lawrence High. I'll take the Lancers to move on.
And Matt, as we move into the west side of the state, we'll stick with you. The number 1 seed on that side, Derby, hosts Wichita North. Who do you like?
Well, Derby's going to be a decided favorite in this one. I mean, Wichita North comes in with just 1 win. These two met last year in the first round of the playoffs, and it was ugly as Derby won that game 70-7. The Panthers are primed for a deep playoff run, and I think they move on easily.
John Baetz, editor of the Kansas Pregame magazine. Mays host Manhattan in the 4-5 game. Who do you like?
Well, an interesting storyline with a pair of teams that closed their regular season out with very close losses. Of course, Mays the loss to Hutch and still qualifies for the playoffs. Manhattan, their loss to rival Junction City, still playing some outstanding football. I think that Mays has some really talented skill players that we've heard about. Connor Longwitz at the quarterback, Chase White in the backfield. But Manhattan is a consistent performer, and they do a nice job under Coach Schartz there, and I think they'll get the win in the first round.
In the 3-6 game, John, Topeka hosts Wichita Heights. Who do you like?
Also an intriguing matchup. Topeka High has some outstanding skill players in Beatty and Tillman, and Coach Walt Alexander's done a great job with that program. Wichita Heights under first-year coach Terry Harrison, who took over for a legend in Rick Wheeler, who turned that very, very bad program around in the 15 years that he was there. I think it's a close one. I'm going to give the edge to Topeka High with their talented skill players.
And the final game in the first round, the 2-seed Wichita Northwest hosts Garden City. Matt?
Well, I like Garden City in this one. They're playing pretty well right now. 6-3 on the year, and finished winning 5 of their last 6 games. Grayson Temple's an outstanding quarterback, over 360 yards of total offense in their win over Dodge City last week. And Dodge City really beat up Wichita Northwest earlier in the season pretty well. So I've got Garden City moving on here.
Let's move into the sectional round. Lawrence Free State will take on Blue Valley Northwest. Dion, who do you like?
Well, I tell you, this is one I keep going back and forth on. I got a feeling Blue Valley Northwest might get this win here, but I'm going to stick with Free State in this one. But this is a game that's going to be a tough physical ball game. Both these teams like to play that way. I like Free State.
And the other sectional matchup on the east side, Dion, Gardner Edgerton will take on Shawnee Mission East.
Well, if it was a kind of bad matchup for Gardner Edgerton in the round 1 against Olathe East, it's a really bad matchup for them in terms of defense versus offense in the second round. I like Shawnee Mission East. You said it before, Dustin Delaney has got this team playing defense like crazy. They're one of the best defensive teams in the entire Kansas City Metro on either side of the state line. I like Shawnee Mission East to make it.
Let's move to the west side. Derby will take on Manhattan. Matt?
Well, I like Derby in this one again. Just too much talent overall. Jeremy Dunham's playing well at quarterback, but they're also mixing in Caleb Arnold a little bit. Tyler West's health at running back will be a factor certainly going forward for Derby, but I still think they have too much talent and move on in this one.
And our final matchup in the sectional round here in Class 6A, Topeka High and Garden City. John Baetz from the Kansas Pregame Magazine. Who do you like?
Well, I'll make a bold pick here that I think some people will think is an upset pick a little bit, but I think Garden City's playing really good football right now, and I think Brian Hill is an outstanding coach, and I think he'll find a way to get a second-round playoff win.
Let's move to the sub-state round. In our final four, we have Free State and Shawnee Mission East on the east side. Dion?
Well, I never thought I'd say this back in August, but I'm going to go with Shawnee Mission East. I mean, there was an overtime game the first time around. The only offensive touchdown Free State scored in regulation was on a fumble deep in Shawnee Mission's East own end, and they got the ball quick and punched it in for their only touchdown. I like East. I like the way they're playing, and I think that this is really kind of a magical year for the Lancers.
The sub-state on the west side, John, Derby and Garden City. Who do you like?
Well, Derby is just way too talented across the board with all those weapons. DeAndre Goolsby and including the transfer Caleb Arnold from Garden Plain. And a great offensive line. They're just way too talented, and they're going to represent the west side.
Matt, in the finals, we have Shawnee Mission East and Derby. Do you agree with those picks?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think those are certainly we could talk about a couple more teams in those positions, but I think those teams are playing really well at this point. You look at that matchup, and I still think Derby's a favorite. I think they have been all year, despite that first week slip up to Shawnee Mission or to Salina South. But then again, Salina South really exposed them a bit by running the ball right at them, and that's certainly going to be Shawnee Mission East's strength. Should this matchup occur? But I think Derby has too much talent, and I think they'd find a way to pull out the win.
Dion, who do you like in this championship game?
Well, I think, Matt brings up some good points. Shawnee Mission East really does have that type of running game, but the one bugaboo they've had, and it's cost them in some of their times when they, like against Free State, is they tend to put the ball on the ground. And Coach Delaney said, we option, we throw it around a lot, so we're going to put it on the ground. I just think maybe they're not crisp enough on offense to score enough points to hang with Derby. John, who do you like?
I'll give Derby and Brandon Clark the edge because of what he's done in developing that program in his time there. It's really a community-wide effort. If you look at the development of their youth program up through their middle schools and the number of kids that they get out, I really think that he's done a great job. And while Dustin Delaney is one of the other fine young coaches in the state of Kansas, he's just only been at that program for 1 year.
So we all agree Derby will be our prediction for the Class 6A State Football Championship here on Kpreps.com.